So, hi everyone, my name is MJ and I'm a Principal Customer Success Manager here at F5. I've been with the company for roughly 7 years and I've been a CSM for about 5 years now. And today I would like to talk to you about public speaking and how important it is to fight your fears to master this very valuable skill. But before getting started, I want to make you participate a little bit. So please raise your hand and keep it up if you're comfortable with public speaking. Okay, there are a few. And now keep it up if you actually enjoy public speaking. Okay, extroverted people. And then last test, would you be comfortable coming here right now and share an anecdote about yourself? All right, we have quite a few. Maybe it's a different crowd than the usual here. But usually people actually hate or they don't really enjoy public speaking. There's a lot of anxiety associated with it. Maybe also fear of getting judged, speaking improperly, or feeling like a fraud. However, it's very valuable. But if we look at some statistics, we can see that 75% of people experience anxiety or nervousness when speaking publicly, and only a small minority of people actually enjoy it, or they claim that they do. And then 46% of people enjoy it sometimes. However, as I said, it's really important in your career and for personal growth as well. Some people think you need really a lot of self-confidence to come forward. I disagree, and I think you actually get confidence by practicing public speaking. So today I have a small agenda for you, different types of public speaking, and then some most common fears, challenges, how we can address them together, and some tools to practice, because it's by practicing that you usually get used to a situation and you can reduce this anxiety level. All right, before moving on to the different types of public speaking, I will ask you actually, what do you think is an example of public speaking? Top of your mind. Yeah?
Eulogy at a funeral?
All right, didn't expect that one, but fair enough.
A TED Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else?
A toast at a wedding.
Yeah. Someone else? You were quite confident earlier raising your hands.
Giving a speech after you win an award.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So we got a couple of them. Usually we don't get the eulogy example, but most people think of a conference or presenting slides or a sales pitch, something like I'm doing now, delivering a speech. But there are actually many other types of public speaking, and a lot of us here were in customer-facing roles, and I do believe we practice it almost daily without realizing. Some of you already shared some original examples. We can take a look at some of these we don't always think of, like networking maybe, or introducing yourself, explaining what your role is to someone. There are actually many people that cannot articulate what is CS or what does a CSM do. You can be an interview panelist. That means you represent your company and your team, and you have sometimes to welcome the person in the headquarters as well. On-site or online QBRs, but I could have included in there any customer meetings or even a team meeting with your team. It is an audience. Moderating a debate or negotiating a salary increase. From your personal life, I think it was Alec here that shared a toast. That's the obvious one for a wedding, or it can be a birthday speech, but it could also be speaking at a local club if you're part of a community, sports club, school if you have kids. It can happen, you have to go in front of people and talk. Now, what they have in common, all of these, in most cases at least, is that you know you're about to talk, so you can prepare in advance. And that's what is usually recommended to reduce the stress levels. But you also have what is called impromptu public speaking. And that, the famous speech where your so-called friend are calling you out and you hate them. So impromptu, it means just without prior notice or preparation. And it can be many things. It can be participating to a debate. Last year, I attended a customer conference in London, and you had a lot of leaders sitting on a stage talking about trendy topics like AI, and they were getting live questions from the audience. You can absolutely get ready for this and prepare, but there's an element of surprise. You cannot know the unexpected. It could be an interview for a new role. We've all been there. An award ceremony. Someone mentioned this. Or that one is always scary when you're on mute, maybe off camera, not always listening. Someone calls out your name in a meeting and is like, what's your opinion on that? You better articulate an answer. So why am I sharing these with you? As I said, because I believe public speaking, it's everywhere. It's not always just a speech. It can be a lot of activities we do daily in the personal life or in the career. And you could tell me, okay, but what if I'm not a great speaker? What could go wrong? Is it the end of the world? Yeah, because that's the way you represent yourself, that you present yourself to others. If you take the networking events, if you cannot explain what you do as a CSM or any other role, you might miss out on the right connections. And maybe your peers are not going to see you. They're not going to notice you. In a leadership call, they're often asking people, what are your thoughts or opinions? Anyone has an idea about this? If you're too shy or too worried or too afraid, your ideas will remain unheard, and so will you. And maybe next time there's a promotion, your name is not going to be mentioned. So it is really important. What is the best thing is to just try. Maybe the first attempts, if you're not comfortable with it, you will be a bit clumsy, but everyone has to start somewhere. And it's by practicing that you're going to get more and more confidence in this public speaking exercise. What matters is to have your voice heard, speak up, be seen, be brave, be bold. It's not about not being nervous at all. It's about actually kind of forcing yourself to go out there and speak. And in public speaking, there are two words. We always bring things to ourselves. It's only natural. We think, oh, I'm going to be judged. They're going to look at me. But what matters is the public, actually. And you're also going to get recognition from them. So if your message resonates, you're going to see faces lighting up, maybe people nodding or smiling, and they will approach you afterwards, maybe asking some questions. Maybe they thought it was very interesting. And that's exactly what this is about. This is the confidence you're going to get, which will carry you forward in this journey. Now, the most common fears and challenges. There are way too many to list them all. So I decided to select 3, and I will start with the most obvious one: nervousness and stage fright. It can be mental, like you're just stressed out, you're thinking about it nonstop the days leading up to the event, a bit of insomnia, or it can be sweaty palms, shaky hands, vocal cords a bit shaky. So how can we address this? Here are some tips. The first one I can share with you is breathing techniques. It's really a proven method. Like if you know yoga or meditation, it's been thousands of years people use these techniques to calm the nervous system. So I'd like to ask you to try with me one of the breathing techniques here, which is called deep breathing. Some of you are still chewing, so I'll give you a second to get ready. But basically, you can start by just clearing out your lungs and be ready. And when you feel like you're ready, you can place your hand on your stomach and take a slow inhale through the nose, feeling the stomach inflate and your lungs filled with air. Hold it for a sec and then breathe out through the mouth like you're blowing a candle. Very slowly. And then you repeat that, and you can do that for a few minutes until you feel a little bit settled, calmer. It's really, really effective. Let's say you're next after me and you're starting to panic a little bit. Maybe you didn't prepare. Wink, wink. You could do this right now. No one is going to notice you're doing this. So it's really great. There are many others. You can Google, you can check ChatGPT. Some others I can recommend is box breathing. That's like inhaling for 4. Then you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4, and you hold for 4. So it's easy to remember, it's always 4. And you do 5 to 10 rounds of that, and it really helps. And there are many other techniques that can also help you go to bed, because we know how sleep is important. The nights leading to an event, you need proper sleep. So there's something called also 4-7-8, where obviously you inhale for 4, hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. And that one you can do in your bed until you fall asleep. It can really help. You can also bring water, or in this case today it's Prosecco and beer, but if you feel like vocal cords are shaking, just take a sip. If you're coughing, you could choke, you never know. And also, sometimes you can just, even if you're not thirsty, I mean, it sounds silly, but you can just pretend you are. If you feel like you're getting lost in your speech, you can take a little break, take a sip of water. It gives you time to check your slides and figure out where you are in your presentation. Meditation, that goes with the breathing techniques. I think there are many tools that can help you do that. You have YouTube, guided meditation. You have Headspace, which is a great app. And please don't think of the Tibetan monk in the dark meditating for hours on end. 1 minute a day is enough and you will reap benefits from that on your day-to-day life. It's not just for public speaking, it's for a lot of different aspects. And then finally, prepare. We know that there's impromptu speaking, but even in these cases, you can at least prepare answers that you think the audience might ask. You can script, write a speech, try to learn it by heart, have some slides with keywords like I'm doing now, but be ready, don't do it the night before because that's recipe for disaster. All right, next one, boring your audience. I hope I'm not doing that right now. But what you can do to avoid that? Well, obviously, energize your audience. Keep them entertained, try to keep it interactive, ask questions, make people say something, exercises, and use your voice, varying the tone and the pace. Don't speak too quiet like this. You can use volume as well, and don't keep a monotonous voice like this. Otherwise, you can just go work for Headspace, but it's not going to work. Use storytelling for your examples. It's always better to use storytelling. It's going to be personal experiences you have, and people can relate to that and remember afterwards what you shared. Eye contact, body language, obviously. If you just stare at one person, you're not going to connect with the rest of the audience. And avoid death by PowerPoint. I know most of us were in corporate settings where we have sometimes boring things to share with stats, numbers, and figures, and it's really hard, but try to reduce the amount of words on your slides, otherwise people will just read before you even explain. Third one is something I couldn't mention as a woman is the imposter syndrome. I think a lot of us felt this, but it could affect potentially anyone, feeling like you're not good enough, what am I even gonna share with this audience? And I'm not going to give you a miracle solution. There are a lot of TED Talks and trainings on LinkedIn and conferences dedicated to this topic alone, but there are a few tips you can use. Now, the slide just says believe in yourself. That's a little bit easy to say. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. But we tend to believe others sometimes more than us. I'm sure you think most, or I hope, that your leaders or colleagues, that they're competent. If you have to present to an event or for a meeting, I doubt that, it can happen you volunteer for it, but probably someone asked you. And if someone believes in you, why can't you trust yourself to do it? Also, you don't need to be an expert. We tend to think, I'm not an expert. You don't need to have 3 PhDs in a topic to have something valuable to share. When I talked with Lucy about this event, I was very enthusiastic. And then when I had to write a speech, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to write? What do I even have to say that is relevant today? And then I thought, but I have a different culture, background, life experiences, so I'm not here to share universal truth. It's just exchanging ideas with colleagues, like-minded people. And maybe some people, it will not resonate with them, and that's perfectly fine. There will be always at least one that will find value in what you have to say. Now that we covered some challenges, we can move on to some tools to practice. And I think practicing is really key here, because the more you're in front of a situation, the less you're going to be stressed about it. You're going to build a lot of confidence. When I joined F5, or NGINX back then, I was a business development rep. And I remember I had my training, and they said, now you have to do a phone call with a customer in front of your manager. And I was with my colleague back then, hiding in a meeting room, terrified, thinking, oh my God, I don't know the product, it's too technical, little bit of imposter syndrome again. And then if you had asked me a few months later to do the same exercise, I wouldn't have cared. I was so used to it. I had zero stress from calling customers. So that really proves my point that the more you do something, the less you're going to be terrified of it. So I have two tools for you today. The first one is Toastmasters International. So that's a worldwide organization, and they're trying to help with developing public speaking and leadership skills. Toastmasters, they do weekly meetings usually. It can be physical, it can be online, or a hybrid format, so it gives you flexibility to participate. It can be a little bit more corporate, a little bit more rigid, because they have this identical structure that they use in every single meeting with roles that needs to be filled, functions. But it's also good because it rotates. Every week it's a different person taking care of different aspects. So you get a chance to learn from every role. For example, the timer, time management. Toastmaster, it's the person leading the meeting, leadership skills. You have the speaker of the day, well, that's obviously the public speaking part, and so on and so forth. So really great to learn, and you get access to some online profile. They are using Udemy, I think it's called, I'm not sure, but it's an AI tool where you can basically rehearse your speech, you record it, and they analyze your tone, your pace, your English, your grammar, everything. So that's really great tool. I've been part of the F5 club for Toastmasters for about over a year now, but I know they have in Cork as well, next to UCC, I believe, and it's worldwide. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I personally find it very, very valuable. I had a lot of imposter syndrome, and now that I started this club and did some speeches with them, I almost, not fully, but got rid of it. Act Attack, it's another one, it's completely different. It's more, as the name indicates, more artistic. They're using theater and improvisation techniques to help you build self-confidence, creativity, self-expression. It's a little bit more goofy, like you move your body, you have to do really weird exercise, like doing the tiger or the monkey. It's really fun, but it's also very effective. I actually checked, I'm sorry about that, but they actually don't have it physically in Cork. But they do it online, so it's still really fun. I think it's great. You can also get a network of like-minded people when you do these things. And about this, I forgot to mention, these are obviously not free, so there is a subscription, there is a cost, but I find it really, really worth it. So these are just two. There are many other ideas. I have listed a few here, but that's just my 2 cents. You can Google and check what works for you, obviously, but you could learn a new language. When you learn a new language, that's a great skill to have. You're going to a school or a Zoom meeting, you will be put in breakout rooms. You will have to do conversation with random strangers. You will have to do presentations about your hobbies or your holidays, and this will also force you to speak. So it will be even harder because it's in another language, but it's a great practice. It can be in front of friends and family. You can torture them with your last QBR slides. It sounds silly, but I was practicing a lot, on my own, and my speech was always perfect. And then the second I started practicing in front of my boyfriend or in front of family, I was shaking a bit. I was like, oh my God, I'm ridiculous. This is not going to be good enough. So it really changes the way you present when you have someone in front of you. You can join a debate or a discussion group. You can volunteer for presentations. I mean, you can always talk to your manager and say you have a desire to grow, you want to do more public speaking because you think it's valuable, and they can make you present things or co-present with them. And then the pitch competition. We did one in my team. I can assure you, I can see already some of them hiding or sighing. No one wanted to do it. When we did a pitch competition, we were like, oh, no, nobody wants to film themselves and rehearse. But in the end, we all did it. Every single one of us, we did it. And while, it is a bit annoying to do this, but you can learn a lot by seeing yourself filmed. You can do a self-analysis and realize what you're doing right or wrong. If you're repeating wrong words, it's good. It's a good exercise. You can also film yourself if you don't want to do a competition. And then the last one is more an advice for Zoom team meetings. We are always seated at our desk and very comfortable, maybe even wearing pajamas, who knows. But I think if you don't have to show people you're standing up, you can just change your camera settings. But when you present standing up, It's a really different dynamic. Your voice is going to project differently, and you're going to be a bit more energized with your feet planted. So just a few recommendations there. We're reaching the end of this. Just want to close by saying that we're never going to get rid of full on, at least, of stage fright and nervousness. If you're listening to interviews of the most famous rock bands in the world, they still experience stage fright before going in, and it's a good thing. You also have a bit of adrenaline, it's giving you a bit of emotions and excitement, enthusiasm. So the purpose today was more to say that it's important to fight your fears so that you can actually be heard. Now, I will ask you all to stand up, and I think you're going to know where I'm going with this based on this slide, to finish on a funny note. And we're going to take the superhero pose. So you can plant your feet slightly wider than hip distance apart, hands on your hips, chin up, and smile. Can you feel that energy? And a bit of shame, but mostly energy? That's confidence. So next time you have to go to an event or speak up, thank you, Millie, you can bring that energy with you, and it will help you be seen and be heard because you deserve it. Thanks, everyone.